This action research project addresses the use of reciprocal teaching in the reading comprehension of secondary students. Approximately 2/3 of America's high school students struggle with reading comprehension. According to the authors of Reading Next, the 2005 Nations Report Card by the National Assessment of Education Progress stated 31% of 8th grade students performed at or above the proficient level. In the 2011 Nations Report Card, 8th grade students' performances increased to 34%. Although any increase in student reading scores should be celebrated, it is disturbing that 66% of students entering high school cannot read at grade level. The purpose of this study is to examine the impact explicit instruction has on reading comprehension through the use of reciprocal teaching strategies such as explicit teaching and whole class modeling, reading and journaling strategies, and group or social discussions. This action research asks, what effect does the incorporation of reciprocal teaching strategies into the secondary students' curriculum have on their reading comprehension and writing skills? Past research on reading comprehension has focused on primary grade students, with negligible research existing on secondary students. This action research project will help me make informed decisions on effective strategies that will support my students in their reading comprehension. Several research studies address the reasons comprehension breaks down for the secondary students and strategies aimed at helping these students. Pertinent excerpts from current research include the following. Edmonds et al. Explain the students may have problems with one or more of the following. A. Decoding words including structural analysis. B. Reading text with adequate speed and accuracy or fluency. C. Understanding the meanings of words. D. Relating content to prior knowledge. E. Applying comprehension strategies. And F. Monitoring for understanding. Edmonds et al. Continue stating, because many secondary teachers assume that students who can read words accurately can also comprehend and learn from text simply by reading, they often neglect teaching students how to approach text to better understand the context. Likewise, the National Council of Teachers of English states analysis of elementary school reading instructions emphasizes the process of how to read and may neglect instruction on reading for ideas, information, and concepts, the very skills adolescents need to succeed in secondary school. Chitendra et al. Explain the effects of poor reading skills. Students with reading problems tend to be less aware of text structure and have poorer recall of textual ideas than good readers. In addition, they have difficulty with comprehension, particularly in identifying main ideas and important details, which are essential to the successful reading comprehension in terms of drawing inferences from text, studying effectively, and reading critically. And finally, reciprocal teaching has been hailed as one of the most prominent strategy instruction programs developed in the last decade. It is designed to improve reading comprehension in children who can decode but experience difficulty understanding text. One major component of reciprocal teaching is the use of problem-solving activities. During the reading, students acquire and practice 4 reading comprehension strategies: generating questions, summarizing, attempting to clarify word meanings or confusing text, and predicting what might appear in the next paragraph. During classroom instruction, a facts question response journal was used to help engage the students in the reading comprehension process. Harvey and Goldvis demonstrate the multiple applications of the FQR, citing its purpose as determining importance, asking questions, and responding to historical fiction. According to Harvey and Goldvis, the response column aids the students to think about their reactions, opinions, and feelings about the books. The second major component of reciprocal teaching is explicit modeling by the teacher of the 4 reading strategies. The teacher models by thinking aloud how to use the strategies to help with reading comprehension. Instruction is scaffolded, and the teacher slowly releases the learning responsibility to the student. Edmond et al. State, the results from their synthesis suggest that older struggling readers benefit from explicit comprehension strategy instruction, that is, modeling and thinking aloud how to self-question and reflect during and after reading, and engaging students to become actively involved in monitoring their own understanding and process text meaning. The third major component of reciprocal teaching is provision of a social setting that enables individuals to negotiate for understanding. Among the instructional improvements for creating an effective literacy program by Bianca, Rosa, and Snow is including text-based collaborative learning. Learning is decentralized in these groups because the meaning drawn from a text or multiple texts is negotiated through a group process. Alfasi lists several benefits of group setting, including students share the responsibility of thinking, making the task more manageable. It allows novices to contribute and learn from the contributions of more capable peers. And it exposes the learner to alternative points of view that challenge and clarify the student's initial understanding and lead to more powerful rules and generalizations. This action research project was conducted at a middle school in Loudoun County, Virginia. The middle school uses a 90-minute block system, and classes met every other day. 4 7th grade English honors classes, 1 7th grade inclusion class, and 1 7th grade academic class were observed for the students' developmental achievement. The classes were observed for 9 weeks during the course of the fall semester. The participants in this action research project represent the entire spectrum of students and include students with IEPs. The accommodations for these students were taken into consideration and approved by the special education teacher. Resources used in this action research project include a diagnostic test, quizzes, essays written by the students, an FQR journal, graphic organizers for written assignments, and student worksheets. Qualitative data was collected from whole class discussions, journal entries, and student surveys. Quantitative data was collected from the diagnostic test, class formative checkpoints, quizzes, and summative writing assessments. The first step in determining a baseline was to review the results from the diagnostic test. The diagnostic included a multiple choice section and 3 short responses to text. Analysis of the short responses was based on the student's ability to identify the main idea, figurative language, and make predictions and make inferences. Genre, character analysis, and figurative language are the 3 major concepts taught during the first quarter curriculum. The results indicated that students had a good understanding of figurative language, with 122 of 144, or 84%, of the students answering correctly. However, the diagnostic showed 83 of 144 students, or 58%, exhibited emerging skills in the short answer on analyzing figurative language. Only 67 of 144, or 46%, of the students were able to correctly identify elements and characteristics of a variety of genres. The FQR was introduced during a reteach session to help students learn to make inferences from the text regarding the author's development of the story's characters. Students used explicit details from the text to make inferences, to ask questions, and to make predictions about the plot and characters. During the whole class instruction, I used think aloud strategies to model for the students how the FQR could be used. Halfway through the text, I then asked the students what they saw as important information, questions they had about the novel, or responses they would add to their journal. As the lesson progressed, the students took a more active role in the journal discussions about the text. Students met with their book clubs during every class. The students discussed the genre of their book, and used class notes and graphic organizers to identify characteristics of their genre. The groups also discussed the development of the protagonist and located textual evidence of the character's development before, during, and after a significant moment in the novel. The data collected was assessed at the end of the action research to determine if there was a measurable increase in the summative assessment scores, if there was an increase of engagement measured by active participation and positive self-assessment from the exit survey. Summative assessments included a diagnostic test, quizzes, and summative writing assessments. On the initial review of the test, 46% of students passed the genre standard on the diagnostic. 98% of students passed the written response in their first attempt. The percentage of passing increased by 52%. 85% of students passed the figurative language standard on this test. 98% of students passed the figurative language quiz. 58 to 61% of students passed the inferences standard on the diagnostic test, while only 27 passed the word choice standard. 66% of students passed the character analysis quiz on their first attempt. Formative checkpoints were given after students were given an opportunity for independent practice. The FQR journaling method was used to help students become engaged in the story, make inferences about the characters, and make predictions, ask questions to fix comprehension. When this method was used as a reteaching strategy, students' passing percentage increased from 66% to 100%. The same text used for the character analysis was used 4 weeks later for a revised reader response journal entry, and the students were able to recall details from the story to answer this response. This indicated students were engaged during the journaling exercise and were able to recall details from the story. My initial question at the beginning of this action research was, what effect does the incorporation of reciprocal teaching strategies into the secondary students' curriculum have on their reading comprehension and writing skills? The increased performance abilities of the students by the conclusion of this study indicate using the reciprocal teaching method will increase the reading comprehension as well as the writing skills of students. Using the journal as an intervention helps students to remain engaged in the text by writing down information that was important to the development of the protagonist. Most of all, it helped the students learn metacognitive skills and how to self-regulate their learning experience. Because of the success I observed with this teaching method, I would definitely use this method again. In the future, I'd like to compare the effectiveness of the reciprocal teaching method against other methods.